Hello, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is the Current Podcast.
Amazing. That's awesome. Let's go Oilers! Woo! Play a little Mama, baby!
There's the sound of Edmonton Oilers fans outside Rogers Place Arena the night they clinched a spot in the Stanley Cup Finals. It is a big moment for hockey fans across this country. Could be the first time a Canadian team wins the Cup in more than 30 years, and the excitement and the nerves are growing as the Oilers prepare to take on the Florida Panthers in Game 1 tomorrow night. Mary Loewen is an Oilers fan in Edmonton, but to call her an Oilers fan perhaps is not enough. You might have seen her on Hockey Night in Canada. She also goes by the name Mama Stanley, attends the Oilers games in the Ice District dressed up as the Stanley Cup. She is wearing that costume right now. Stephen Pretty is an Oilers fan, cheering in his basement in Conception Bay South, Newfoundland. Good morning to you both.
Well, good morning to you too.
Mary, take me back to Sunday. What was it like when the Oilers beat Dallas to make it to the finals?
It was so exciting. I cried. It was just the energy, and it was just amazing. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
Stephen, what about for you? You were in the basement?
I was in the basement, yeah. Yeah, I was super excited. Just an absolute thrill and really a dream come true.
How did you, Stephen, come to be an Oilers fan? You are in Newfoundland. That's not especially close to Edmonton, but, fans have allegiances across the country. What about for you?
They sure do. I've been an Oiler fan since I was a small boy, so I grew up in the era of the amazing 80s Edmonton Oilers, Wayne Gretzky and that crew. I've stuck with them all the way through. I think here in Newfoundland it's interesting. We've got a couple of generations of fans, folks of my vintage, and now a younger fan base that includes my daughter and my nephew. But there's also a really close connection between Newfoundland and Labrador and Northern Alberta.
Of course,
Folks go out to work and settle, so a lot of those folks who have lived out west and have come back are loyal to the Oilers too. So it's definitely still Leaf, Hab territory, but there's a small and very passionate fan base out here too.
You stuck with them because you have to say that because the Oilers, we're not casting dirt on anybody, but they had some dark times.
Oh, they were dark times. I often think back to the day Wayne was traded in '88, and my late dad encouraging me to stick with the team. And sometimes I wonder if that was a blessing or a curse. But I'm sure happy today that he did that because these have been a fun few years, and the last few weeks have been especially exciting.
Mary, what about for you? You weren't always an Oilers fan, right?
No, I wasn't. And I wasn't so young. I was in my 20, and I was an Islander fan, and I moved up to Edmonton that year, and I watched the series, and they had me hooked. I was an Oiler fan from then on, and have been ever since. I'm loyal to the Oil.
Wow, and loyal because people would see what you're wearing. For people who don't know this, can you describe what you're wearing right now?
Right now? Okay. Well, I have silver face paint, and then I have a silver tinsel wig, and then I have a silver outfit, and then I have white moccasins, mucklucks, and I have my glasses are also silver sparkles, and then I top it off with the crown.
It's spectacular.
It is.
Where did this come from? Where did Mama Stanley come from?
Well, my daughter and I went to an Oiler game 3 years ago, and we both had the same blazers on, and they were shiny, the ones I'm wearing. And she goes, "Mom, you should become Stanley Cup." And I was like, "Oh, I should," And then so we made up the outfit, and Ron McLean, saw me in the stands, and he said that we were playing LA, and he said I was from Tinseltown, and I was trying to represent the Stanley Cup, not being Tinseltown. Mm-hmm. But then she said, "Mom, you need a crown to top it off." So she went to Michael's and she got everything, and we sat down for 6 hours, the three of us, and we put 3,500 sequins in with tiny little nails.
3,500 sequins.
3,500.
Have you met any of the players? What does Connor McDavid think of Mama Stanley?
Well, you know what? At game 2, I saw him in the first series. Mm-hmm. and I was sitting right behind the bench.
Yeah.
And, the rest of the players, I see them looking at me, but if I look at them, they'll look away, right? But he didn't. He looked at me, and he didn't look away, And I was sitting right behind the bench, so we were like maybe 4 feet away from each other. So
there was a connection there.
Oh, totally! I knew he wanted me.
What about? I mean, you met Mark Messier as well, right?
Yeah, Mark Messier, Kevin Loewen, Craig McTavish.
Tell me a little bit about meeting someone like Mark Messier.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I had 2 kids. I had 2 kids, and a son and a daughter. And my son was severely handicapped. He got pneumococcal meningitis when he was 6 months old, so it severely brain damaged him. So he couldn't communicate, and just like with energy and happiness, and pain, like that kind of thing. But anyways, they had the Carnival Champions at the Coliseum, and we went, and because my son was in a wheelchair, we got to go underneath where the players were, and we were under there, and Mark Messier came walking towards us, and there was nobody else around, and I said, would you please take a picture with my kids? And he said, oh, for sure. And he came over and he put his hand on my son's shoulder, and he said, hey, little buddy, how you doing? And talking to him like that, like talking to him like he was a person, like he was somebody, and it was amazing. Like, he's just an awesome, awesome guy. And like my daughter, he said, hey, little cutie, and he just took out time for them. We took pictures, and it was just amazing. He's an amazing guy.
Stephen, there's a lot of anticipation for this series and for this game tomorrow. How are you feeling? Nervous, excited, confident, all of those plus other things thrown into the blender?
Yeah, all of those and other things. Powder cake of emotions, I suppose. I'm excited. I think the further along we get, the more happy and proud we are for the team. So I'll be nervous. I've been trying to say to folks around me that, I think I can settle in now and watch the game and just enjoy it. And probably 5 minutes into the first period, I'll be right back to the edge of the seat, nervous pacing and all that. But listen, you don't get to have your team in the Stanley Cup Finals that often, so I'm going to do my best to enjoy it and hope for the best. I'm confident. I think they're going to do quite well.
What do you do down in the basement? Is there that nervous pacing? Are you the guy who's sitting on the edge of the couch and you can't watch? You have to turn around. There's some things you just. How do you handle all those nerves?
I'm a pacer for sure. Walk back and forth the basement in the later times of the game. I started a tradition in the last playoff series in between periods to go to my dartboard and throw darts, which is a strange thing to do to alleviate nerves, but it worked. They were winning games, so like any superstitious fan, I kept doing it. But no, for me, it's about trying to get as excited as I can, but keep in mind that, the games are on quite late in Newfoundland, and I do have family around me, so trying to be excited but not wake the entire household up too much.
What is this thing beside the television? You keep something next to the TV as an omen, right?
I do. So I besides hockey and other passions, I'm a collector of vinyl records. So, and Oiler fans would know how important the song La Bamba is as the victory song and the connection it's got to a couple of late really important folks connected to the Oilers. I keep the La Bamba soundtrack album out on a stand next to the television, have for most of the playoff run. I haven't actually spun it yet. If we hoist the cup in a couple of weeks' time, I don't really care what the hour is. I'll be spinning that record loudly and proudly.
Mary, do you have rituals before games, something that puts you in the right frame of mind and the right place for the game?
Yes, but I would just like to say there's no if.
There's no if. Thank you. Just being clear on that. That's good.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
But no, I have a signature perfume that I wear every time, and you know what? In the last series, there was 2 times that I missed or I forgot where to put it on, and we lost. So I'm not forgetting that no more.
Put that perfume on. Do you get, you're Mama Stanley. Do you get tickets to the game? Do people send those your way? Or
No. I did get donated a ticket the last series. That was, right behind the bench.
Yeah. Well, you need to be there somehow in this series, and
I agree.
Maybe somebody will take it upon themselves to get you in there. I wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for talking to us, and hopefully we'll talk again as the series unfolds and as they win. Mary Loewen is Mama Stanley. She's an Oilers fan in Edmonton. Stephen Prady is in Conception Bay South, Newfoundland. Robert Chichkowski is a reporter with the Edmonton Journal. He covers the Oilers. Robert, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How much does this mean to your city, this series?
Oh, it's a big deal. It's kind of like the sort of the mood of the city is kind of dictated by what happens on the ice, and it's like all Canadian cities, hockey is a big deal, but Edmonton is a special market. It's a special place, and the team here, probably because it opened up its existence with a dynasty, has those deep roots, and then there was 15 or 20 really ugly years in the middle there where people stuck with it through, thick and thin, and diehard Oilers fans. So, those people especially, to get to this point in time right now are really feeling a sense of excitement and anticipation. It's, you can't walk down the street without seeing an Oilers flag or an Oilers shirt, and people who wouldn't give hockey the time of day are now asking you hockey questions when you run into them. So it's big.
What do you think people should be watching for in Game 1?
Just the contrast in styles a little bit. Florida is a heavy, aggressive team, and that they're going to be coming after Edmonton's two best guys. Like Florida plays hard. They finish their checks. They like to get into scrums. They like to be aggressive, and they know that their ticket to the Stanley Cup is to neutralize Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So I think a lot of the Sam Bennett's and the Matthew Tkachuks and Ekblads and those guys are going to be really coming hard at Edmonton's best players, and it's how Edmonton weathers that storm, because they played twice already this season, and it was 5-1 and 5-3 for Florida. So I think what happens in Game 1 is going to go a long way to dictating who wins the series, and just not only because I think it's 61 of the last 79 teams that won Game 1 went on to win the whole thing, but just because how Edmonton is a different team from when they played them early in the season, and how they're going to be able to withstand the physical impact of playing Florida. You
mentioned Matthew Tkachuk, who is a forward with Florida, formerly a Calgary Flame. How does that complicate emotions, do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be a very emotional series. I'm sure all Stanley Cup finals are emotional, but this is a really good rivalry that dates back to the Flames days and he is, in Edmonton's, far and away the most hated player in the National Hockey League when he was
far
there.
And away.
At least in Edmonton, I don't know. There's a long history with him and Zach Kassian and him turtling, and all the Oilers fans wearing turtle costumes the next time Calgary came to Edmonton. So, and he's a good player. He plays hard. He knows how to employ some gamesmanship to get people off their game and try to get away with stuff. So, he's going to play a big role in this, because he's also a very skilled player as well. So it's how Edmonton responds to that with guys like, Evander Kane and Corey Perry and Darnell Nurse, some of Edmonton's bigger, more physical guys. They're going to also play a big factor in this.
What kind of pressure is on Connor McDavid? I mean, a generational player, but there was some chirping coming from, there was a columnist in Florida who said that, he gets the nicknames McJesus, but he has not been transcendent. He hasn't delivered a Stanley Cup. This reporter called him McOverrated. What kind of pressure is on Connor McDavid?
It's a fair amount, and I think most of it would be internal. Like he everybody knows that he might be, next to Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, the best player that ever played in the National Hockey League, right? If you're putting together a Mount Rushmore of hockey players right now, it's Gretzky, Lemieux, Bobby Orr, and Gordie Howe. So if Connor McDavid wants to be considered one of those, and statistically all the points are adding up, and every playoff game you see another record that hasn't been done since Gretzky, Lemieux, and Orr. But until you're a guy who wins a couple of championships, you can't be included in that conversation. So, and he's already 9 years into it, so it's not like he's 22, 23 years old. So I think from his own perspective, and again, he's putting all the pressure on himself, that he wants to be a great player, and great players want to win championships, and he's never been this far before. And he's never had this good a chance. The Oilers are as good a team now as they've been, in that 9 years. So it's a big opportunity, and obviously this is I mean, he needs to close this badly.
This is a huge story for Edmonton, but it's a huge story for people across this country, given the drought. You wrote a piece. The headline was, "Newsflash, Edmonton doesn't care if Oilers are Canada's team." And part of this was, I just want to read some of this. First of all, nobody asked you, like some insignificant radio host in Vancouver or angry writer out east gets to decide who 38 million people will support in the Stanley Cup final. Second, if you think for one split second that anyone in Edmonton cares in the slightest who fans in Calgary, Vancouver, or Toronto are cheering for, you are sadly mistaken. Tell me what you really think.
Well, that was like, it wasn't like Edmonton doesn't care about other fans. Like, the more the merrier. And if most Canadians, a lot of Canadians are going to get behind the Oilers because they're a likable team. They don't have a lot of villains on them. That was more directed at, you see people that will defiantly cross their arms and say, "I'm not cheering for the Oilers because they're Canadian. I'm cheering against them." Like, just for those people, like, mind your own business. If you want to cheer for them, but don't make this big dramatic point about how you're not cheering for them, even though you're Canadian. I just think that was a bit silly. So it was just a kind of an open letter to them.
But it is a great story, right? I mean, this team feels like, for all of the things that it's gone through, even this season, it feels like, you don't want to be, looking ahead too far, but it feels like things are lining up in the right way.
It almost does, like this, a little bit of a team of destiny. Like, at the start of the season, they kind of expected to be here. And then 12, 13 games in, they're tied for last place in the league and they fired their coach. And this is going to be, even by Oilers standards, one of the most spectacular collapses you've ever seen. And then next thing you know, they get they get the new coach. They slowly pull things together. They get an 8-game winning streak. And then, as fate would have it, Florida beats them. And then they go on another 16-game winning streak, which is, second longest in NHL history. So, everybody's at the top of their game. McDavid's putting up the points. Draisaitl is, the Oilers are 1, 2, 3, 4 in scoring. The goaltending's coming around. So it's just, everything seems to be falling in place. But Florida is a handful. Like, they're by far the best team the Oilers have faced in these playoffs. And, it's a coin toss at best.
Do you do predictions?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if somebody said, bet your house on it, I'd probably lean to Florida. They're deeper. Their goaltender is, a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner and a Hall of Famer. But like we said, like, Edmonton is just, everything is falling into place. And when they get going, like, they were the underdogs against Dallas for the same reasons. Dallas had more depth. Dallas had better goaltending, and the Oilers kind of walked right through them. Those last 2 games, when the Oilers will start off a little bit wonky here and there, but when all the money's on the table, they're a really hard team to beat. When they're at their best, they're not always at their best, but when they're at their best, they're as good as there is.
Buckle up. Robert, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Robert Chichkowski is a reporter covering the Oilers with the Edmonton Journal.